My name is Brittany Cleveland. Thank you so much for joining us here. I apologize. This is actually my first time doing a college block party. So I'm really excited and very happy to share more information with you all about the scholarship search and application process. This is definitely something that is very near and dear to my heart. Just a little bit of an introduction about myself. I am a member of the College Greenlight team, and we are powered by capex.com. And I am also a very proud first-gen college graduate of the University of Chicago. And I am also a recipient of a full tuition scholarship at the University of Chicago. So affordability and finding ways to fund my education has brought me here to really inform you all and pay it forward to you all in terms of really finding great opportunities that are going to help you reach your full potential as we're thinking about how to really find that money. So with that being said, I wanted to just kind of ask you all a little bit more about who's in the room. I wanted to kind of also ask what were some of the things that you all were looking to get out of today's presentation. As you all are writing in, I want you all to definitely use this as an opportunity that you guys are also on your own journeys, and some of you have started, right? Some of you have not started, and some of you have started and stopped. And I want you all to use this as an opportunity to really lean on each other, because I see you all as experts. And you guys are more on the scholarship platforms and talking with friends and family than I am. So I want you all to use this opportunity, go into that chat room and the chat box that we have here to talk a little bit more with each other as I present. Because I don't want to talk at you all. I want to have a discussion and a conversation and really use you all as my experts as well. So just a little bit about the agenda. I just want to make sure that you all can take a look at my slides here. For our agenda today, it's going to be very robust. It's going to be a lot of information, but we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about the importance and value of scholarships and really breaking down of college affordability, especially for those who are just starting the process. Secondly, we'll have some fun breaking down some misconceptions of the scholarship process and uncover some great scholarship tools to really help identify great match and fit scholarship opportunities. And then we'll talk a little bit more about advice on how to maximize your scholarship season and really making sure that you all are feeling confident in navigating this very, very confusing, overwhelming season, especially related to COVID. So I'll provide you all with a couple updates about that as well. And then last but not least, we'll open up the floor to answer any questions that you may have related to scholarships, related to tools, related to the process, or just if you're freaking out about scholarships and affordability, I want you all to use this as a space where we can talk a little bit more about that. Sounds good? Yes? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start off with talking a little bit more about what is a scholarship. And I know this is a very basic question, right? But I wanted to use this as an opportunity to help engage our audience, you all. Let me know what your definition of a scholarship is in the chat. and talk a little bit more about what your scholarship search and application process has been looking like. Are you happy? Are you feeling inspired? Have you won any scholarships yet? Do you have any really great tips that you'd like to share? Go ahead and include that in the chat. But essentially, the definition of a scholarship is truly an award of financial aid that is given to our students, and you guys don't have to pay it back, right? Usually, the scholarship is reflected based off the values and purpose of the donor or founder. So, to really help identify what goal they are looking to accomplish and what progress they would like to see in the world, and you have to align yourselves with that scholarship provider. And they're looking for candidates who are aligned in that vision as well. And then additionally, as I mentioned, scholarships, a lot of people say it's free money, but truly it is an opportunity where it's not required to be repaid. So this is where we're going to really spend a lot of our focus on, is really talking about those application components. So with the scholarship application, we typically see 4 main components. If we break it down, we have basic demographic information, which is the favorite part of the scholarship because it's the easiest, right? We know our first and last name, and we know our mailing addresses. But then it gets to the more complicated and more time-intensive parts of the application, which includes the essay, or it could be a project-based assignment. Especially in the arts and the sciences, what we're seeing is a few of our scholarship providers are actually leaning towards no essays, and they're requiring students to submit videos. For example, Taco Bell scholarship is a really great scholarship that is a no essay scholarship. And they're also looking at students who, not just by their GPA, but they're really looking at their who they are as an individual. The next is really taking a look at letters of recommendation. So these may be write-ups from your counselor, from your teachers, from your community organizers. Basically, these are areas in which the scholarship provider wants to know who you are as an individual. If they do require a transcript, they are looking beyond the grades. They're really looking at who you are and your journey and your context, and how you are aligned with their goal and their purpose of establishing the scholarship. And last but not least, really taking a look at documentation of household income. So typically, this is most commonly for scholarships that are need-based. So these are scholarships these are scholarships that are for students who may identify as with a family income less than, in certain cases, 100K and lower. But what I advise you all to do is definitely make sure that as you are looking at the application components, and if they do require a financial kind of measure, you all are asking the right question. So if you're invited to any virtual programming or info sessions for scholarships, ask them if they require financial need, what is their parameters around family income, okay? And I also wanted to let you all know, not all scholarships ask for testing. But there are some cases that where you do have a scholarship provider that is asking for testing. And due to the implications of COVID, many of our scholarship providers are very aware of the challenges and the cancellations of testing, and also just due to your safety. So that may not be an issue coming up this application season. But I also want you to know that our scholarship providers are not perfect, and they may still require some versions of testing. Now, if you run into the case of a scholarship provider asking for test results and you have had challenges with getting your test scores, by all means, please feel free to reach out to your advisor. And we also have heard from our scholarship providers to send an email over to them, just kind of explaining a little bit more about your extenuating circumstances, so that they can provide a little bit more, you can provide a little bit more context, and they can provide a little bit more assistance on next steps. So before we dive in, I wanted to, again, kind of throw out there and ask you all a little bit more about your own scholarship journey. What is the reason why scholarships are so important to you, right? And I guess there's a larger question in terms of, I want to, fund my education, but I really want to ground ourselves in terms of, when you are feeling overwhelmed, or you feeling, down and out and can't find those scholarships, I want you all to use this time to identify the reason why you are applying, because you're going to have to revisit that same intention and remind yourself of why you're doing it, of why it's hard, of why you're putting the effort and the time. And I definitely want you all to know that hopefully, wherever you are in this journey, you guys can revisit some of the chats and say some encouraging words. Love to kind of hear a little bit more about some of the things, what really is driving you all, and like that fire, lighting that fire underneath you. So for technical reasons, I'm going to actually break down why it is important to be applying for scholarships. So overall, right, we know that college, we're looking at tuition, right? That is something that is always talked about, but college costs really is more than just tuition, right? We call it in advising cost of attendance, right? Also known as COA. And that consists of room and board. It consists of travel. It consists of books and supplies and different miscellaneous and personal expenses. And so, the college experience is definitely not an affordable option for all, right? When you think about it just at face value. But the most important thing that I want you all to understand is that everybody knows that no one, for this example, has $30K just sitting in their pocket to give out every year, right? And so there are efforts in place to really help subsidize and help you alleviate some of the stress of that financial gains. But all in all, when we think about scholarships, when we think about financial aid, when we think about tuition, and we think about college and your right to an education, it is truly an investment, right? I think that's the most thing that we have to understand, that grounding ourselves, that we are investing in our future and we're investing in our earning potential. And so, in the world that we live in, we do have to make a sacrifice and put a little bit of money down. But for today's conversation, we're going to talk a little bit more about how we can reduce some of that money down. Okay, so breaking that down. So again, we all know not everyone has 30K in their pocket. And if you do, hello, my name is Brittany. I would love to meet you. And we can be really good friends. But to those who are like me, we are definitely looking at different sources of financial aid. So when you're thinking about financial aid and the different ways in which you can fund your education, you're looking at federal and state aid. You're looking at colleges and universities providing aid, and outside organizations. Outside organizations can consist of scholarships. It can consist of different banks or different institutions. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But essentially, the reason why these entities have come together and say, like, yes, college should be affordable. We want to make sure that our economy is strong and that we have like a growing, working body of students or recent graduates. We need to make sure that they actually get to college and they are meeting their requirements just from the job market, right? And so all of these entities are coming together, but every student has different levels of family income and different financial circumstances. And the way to kind of provide an equalizer to really help identify those who are in a little bit more financial need is that FAFSA. So they came up with a FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Student Aid application. Hands up for anyone who has heard of that. The FAFSA is one of the most critical components to financial aid and affordability. And you are required, as long as you are a student, you have to apply for FAFSA every year for you to really rely on financial assistance, okay? So the application is available October 1st. I provided a little infographic. And again, I did not upload the PowerPoint presentation, but I will definitely follow up with you all with the recording and the materials so that you can have all the links. So you can just kind of take a look at all the resources that I provided. So with that being said, when we think about the different types of financial aid, I like to group them in 3 different areas. So the first area is taking a look at grants and scholarships. So this is where we're going to be focusing a lot of our attention today. This is that free money, right? This is the money that we don't have to repay. And it's coming from either colleges and universities in the form of merit aid or financial need-based aid, as well as outside organizations that will be in the form of scholarships. But you also will be learning a little bit more about work study, where it is a federal programming, where you all will really work in different departments and on the university that goes towards your financial aid. And that is based off of the college and the university. And then last but not least, where you will find financial aid via loans. So that is, you must pay that back. And there are good loans, and then they're not so friendly loans. And so that is where we're not going to dive in today, but hopefully you all will join our upcoming programming where we can really kind of dive into talking a little bit more about loans. But then I also want you guys to definitely reach out to your advisors, reach out to your advocates who are a little bit more well-versed in loans and really identifying different opportunities and options that are available. All right. So again, when we're thinking about scholarships and the reason why we're applying for scholarships, financial aid is just not going to cover everything. We just know that. Financial aid gap is one of the biggest challenges that most of our students have, right? And we probably have some cousins, right? We maybe have some different family members or friends who really wanted to go to a college, but they have 10K left where they have to pay, right? And it's kind of hard because not everyone can find that 10K, and it doesn't always come easy. So in today's conversation, or just a takeaway that I want you all to get, is to really invest in your scholarship search and application process, and really find the areas in which you can actually alleviate some of your financial strain now than when you get to college and you're trying to find it later. And there are definitely different options later, but I just want you all to know this is really the most optimal time to find scholarships, because what we're seeing in our database at CapEx and College Greenlight, most of the scholarships that we have in our database are for our high school seniors going into their freshman year in college. And then the second most popular set of scholarships is for our incoming freshmen, so our first year college students. Now, with that being said, this is definitely not a moment to sleep. This is a moment to take some time out and to explore the options that are available. But we also know that it is completely overwhelming. There's a lot of things in your senior year that you're navigating. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about how to work smarter and not harder, and really work together and lean in with your peers, with your friends and your family to find different opportunities that are going to be great fit for you. But essentially, we want to really focus on the idea that just financial aid is just not going to cover it and not cover everything. So you have agency, you have the power to find those opportunities, and we're really happy to work with you on getting to that next level. Okay. So essentially, boiling it down, winning scholarships is better than paying student loans, right? Every dollar you win is a dollar less you will need to borrow. So even if you find a scholarship that is $100, that $100 can go towards your education. So definitely don't overlook those, I like to call small but mighty dollar amounts, because that is a dollar that is a less and needed to borrow. But we'll talk a little bit more about efficiency in a second, in terms of when to apply for small dollar scholarships versus when to apply for big dollar scholarships. All right, so I first wanted to just talk a little bit more about, there are two different types of scholarships. You have merit-aid scholarships, and then you have those private scholarships from different organizations. Now, when it comes to the merit-aid scholarships, I think this is a part of that college search process. A lot of us really focus or think that we have to compartmentalize like scholarships and college application, but it's actually twofold, right? As you all are in your search process now and you're identifying colleges to add to your list, you should be talking or researching colleges to make sure that, do they have any merit-aid scholarships, or do they have any even financial scholarships available on their campus? So as you all are going through your virtual experience in your college fair, definitely explore, ask the questions, because our universities want to have you on their campus, and there's definitely room to learn a little bit more about their offerings. And you should definitely diversify your list of colleges based off of how financially generous they are. And I just wanted to also mention that all the presenters for the College Block Party today, they are all very financially generous colleges. And so these are the types of colleges that you want to consider as you are kind of mapping out your list. And then we'll talk a little bit more about that private scholarship. So the private scholarship, these are outside organizations. These are foundations who started for a purpose, to really see a change in their community. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the nuances of private scholarships. So I want to give you all a couple examples of some merit aid scholarship examples. So you're more than likely going to see merit aid scholarships in your financial award letter. So after you all complete your FAFSA, right? Available October 1st. The universities that you've applied for will actually send their decision letter, and they will also send over the financial award letter. And in that financial award letter, you will also be aware of the merit aid scholarships that you qualify for. Now, sometimes these merit aid scholarships are just like, oh, surprise, I didn't know that you had that available. Typically, those look like the presidential scholarships. These are very merit-based scholarships. They're looking at, your academic rigor and the different courses that you're taking, who you are as an individual inside as well as outside of the classroom, all the way to looking at the transfer scholarships. So any of you all who may not be transitioning to a traditional 4-year institution after college, you may go to a 2-year, and you want to take the next step after you complete your associates to go to a 4-year institution, you could qualify for a transfer scholarship. All the way to enrichment scholarships. This could be anything that's talking a little bit more about how you're enriching the college campus. So that is really taking a look at traditionally underrepresented groups at that college. So this is not limited by race or ethnicity. This could be diversity in geography. You may be in rural, Mississippi, and they want to support more rural students. Or you may be identify as LGBTQ, right? And they're looking to really round out their class and really make sure that their class is diverse. And then you also have like more or less like your talent scholarship. So we have an example of a music scholarship. So these may require an audition. It may be more related in the arts. And so I just want you all to know that do not make the mistake of just waiting for you to learn about these scholarship opportunities when you get your financial award letter. Take the opportunity in these informational virtual sessions to really ask those admissions representatives about those opportunities. And if they don't know, ask them if there's an opportunity where, you can go on their webpage, or you can talk directly to a financial aid officer. Another thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is really talking a little bit more about 100% financial need-based colleges. So we talked a lot about merit aid scholarships and then private scholarships, but then there's also need-based. So these are financial aid, where colleges are really looking at your family income. And it definitely varies at different schools. So you may have some schools that are looking at, $70K family income or lower, or $100K income or lower. It definitely depends on the school, but essentially they're looking at how much your family is able to contribute. And they will set up a package to really help support you and fund your education to low or no costs, or really looking at your debt, essentially. And so these are some really great schools here. I will say they're mainly very competitive to a certain extent. But I don't want you all to think just because you may be a B student that you don't qualify for these schools. These schools are actually really great candidates for you. I like to call them, maybe they're not a MIT or a Stanford, but maybe they are a small but mighty Amherst and Barnard that is in their own right just as unique and competitive and academically rigorous. So definitely research these colleges. This is just a short list that I've provided here, but I provided you all with a link that you all can use to kind of follow up to get that full list of 100% need-based colleges. All right, and so just taking a look, I wanted to do a little bit of a fun game that's specifically dedicated to our scholarships, and doing a little bit Mythbusters, and also just providing you all with a couple of best practices, some tips along the way. But I really wanted to get you all involved. I'm so happy that you guys are all talking to each other. I am so sorry that I'm not looking at your questions because I am old and I am not able to move from one side to the other. I'm in like multiple windows currently, but I'll definitely address your questions at the end. But I hope this is helpful. So let's dive into the Mythbusters game. So with the Mythbusters game, I'm going to ask you all a myth. And these are some really simple myths, but I thought they were fun. And if you all agree with the myth or disagree with the myth, and it can be just a sentiment, right? You are just like, yeah, I'm not going to get it. I want you all to just use the emoji thumbs up and emoji thumbs down. If you agree, thumbs up. If you disagree, thumbs down. Okay? All right. So myth one. Applying for scholarships is a waste of time. I won't win anything. How many of us agree with that? Put emojis in the chat. And how many of us do not agree with that? Put the thumbs down emoji in the chat. This is great. I'm loving this. Okay, so we have some really positive, positive thinkers in the room, and let's dive in into why that is not why is that a leading misconception, right? Oftentimes, right, we get so overwhelmed by the missed opportunities of scholarships, or we're searching for scholarships and we're like, I can't find anything that's right for me, or you get to a point where it's like, oh goodness, I just missed that deadline. So I'm going to actually talk a little bit more about what it looks like to really earn and increase your chances of winning. Because at the end of the day, it's not scholarship search and application process is not the easiest, right? But it really does take a couple of steps for you internally to be proactive and persevere, but also knowing where to find them. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. So first thing I wanted to discuss is just talking a little bit more about national scholarships versus local scholarships. Show of hands, if we want to do a hand emoji, a waving emoji, how many of us have heard about local scholarships? So, because I know most of us have heard about national scholarships, right? These are the Coca-Colas and the Gates and the Quest Bridge and the posses, right? We all have heard about these scholarships, but they're super competitive. Not saying that they are bad, they are actually great. But what I like to do is think about my scholarships as if I am building a stock portfolio. Now, I know you guys are probably 17, 8, maybe 16, 17 right now. And you guys are not trying to think about stock portfolios now. But what I will tell you is you do want to diversify, right? You want to make sure that you are making sure that you are applying for a mixture of national and very competitive scholarships, as well as local scholarships. Now, we define local scholarships as scholarships that are in your backyard. And these scholarships are going to come from state-based, maybe county-based, school-based. I'm actually from Chicago, so I have a couple of flags here. It could come from your mayor's office, right? You all may have aldermans, right? There are many really great opportunities that are in your backyards, but not many people know, right? I did not know that my alderman had a scholarship, and I actually won about $10,000 for that scholarship when I was applying. And the reason why I love the local scholarships is because if you did not know about scholarships, right, then more than likely other people don't know about those scholarships and your competition is low. Now, why is competition important? And when we're thinking about, scholarships, at the end of the day, scholarships are a numbers game. And we're really looking at, all right, so if I'm going to submit to an application, how can I bring my application to the top? Make sure that my application is being noticed. Well, the first thing is try to cut your competition low, right? And those local scholarships are awesome. And they also will understand the circumstances of your community and are more likely to understand your own personal extenuating circumstances as well as context. And so this is definitely a really great opportunity for you all to apply for those local scholarships and find those scholarships in your backyard. And I will also say local scholarships typically are a little bit more smaller in amount, but I have seen students who have racked up on local scholarships, and that became a funding for their book fee. So definitely think a little bit more about those scholarships in your backyard, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about where you can find them. So there are the difficulties around local scholarships is not that many people know. It's really word of mouth, or you either hear it by your friend or your peer or your cousin has received the scholarship. So I provided just a little bit of a context of where you all can find those scholarships. Now, I've talked a little bit more about the library, your high schools. There's some high schools that actually have dedicated scholarships, all the way to taking a look at your friends. Now, I wanted to concentrate on your friends and your family. Now, yes, our friends and our family, we may be first in our families to go to college, right, in our immediate family, but I also want you to know that your cousins, right, may know someone who went to college and was awarded a scholarship or knew about a program that helped students. So I definitely want you all to definitely talk, get the word out, ask questions. Do not be afraid. Do not be shy. You are looking to fund your education. And if you remain silent, then there are going to be opportunities that we may miss. And you know what? Connectivity, community, that is value, right? And in the knowledge that we gain from our own people, our own friends. I want to also just let you all know, in terms of our online platforms, you know, CapEx College Greenlight is, it's I hold it so dear to me. But there are definitely many other scholarship online platforms that are out there. But I want you all to know that you don't come, what is that called? One fits all, right? It is not a uh, it is not an equal kind of playing field, because there are some scholarship platforms that can be very scammy, that can promote scholarships that have outdated information. Their deadlines are out of date, or their links to the application is broken, or they are really just selling your name to go somewhere else. I want you all to understand that when you are looking for scholarship online platforms, they can be your best friend, but they can also work against you in terms of, if you're not really looking at the type of quality that they're offering, then you may be bombarded with emails. Show of hands, how many of us are being bombarded by emails? A lot of us, right? So I definitely want you all to move forward, identify maybe one or two, at the max 3 scholarship online platforms that you're using to navigate scholarships. And when you're identifying those scholarships, make sure they are reputable. When I say reputable, make sure that you check the deadlines, make sure that they're not gaudy with ads, make sure that they are, just not scammer scholarships. Definitely look at the quality of opportunities and choose something that is a good fit for you. And with that being said, I do wanted to kind of show you all a little bit more about College Greenlight and CapEx, our scholarship platforms, and how you can navigate them a little bit more and just kind of maximize the tools while I have your attention here. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to actually show you the site and give you a couple of best practices on what I found helpful as I was navigating like the scholarship tools on the website. And give me 1 second. Let me see if I can. Okay. All right, team. Should be coming up. There we go. So team, this is the updated CapEx website. We've updated our tools where now it's going to be searchable. And so I want you all just kind of learn a little bit more about how you can maximize the scholarship search process. So when you create your profile, you can find the scholarships in the left-hand column there. And then you all can actually search for scholarships by a renewable amount. Now, this is really great because when we talk about renewable scholarships, these are scholarships that are going to give you money every year. We love these scholarships. The reason why is sometimes with those $1, 1 year scholarships, by the end of our freshman year, we're looking for more scholarships to meet that gap, right? So definitely prioritize scholarships that are renewable. And you can easily find those scholarships by just clicking on that renewable tab there. In addition to that, we have scholarships, a search where you can look by gender, by ethnicity, as well as grade level. I really like this tool because if you guys are going into your high school senior year, this is the time to apply. Typically around September all the way to April, you're going to see most scholarships. It will teeter down. You won't find those scholarships after March. And it gets really, really cut dry after March 2021, right? But I want you all to know that scholarship search and application process does not end in your senior year. There are actually even more scholarships, or just a good amount of scholarships for your college freshman year. And so definitely don't stop. If you are overwhelmed and you can invest that time in your senior year, I don't want you all to stop. Definitely take a look at scholarships in your freshman year. You can visit websites like College Greenlight, but you can also talk to your dean or your advisor. You can talk to your department head. These are going to be really great opportunities for you to find funding after your first year of college, which is going to be critical. And then also, we do have some scholarships for students who are first in their family to attend college, need-based scholarships. And I wanted to point out non-U.S. Citizen. With the CAPEX website, we actually have an amazing resource of scholarships that are for our undocumented student community. We send out lists of scholarships and recommendations every year. So definitely, if you have not subscribed to CAPEX, please, or College Greenlight, just understand that you may be missing out on some really great opportunities and cool lists for you to organize yourself in that scholarship search and application process. Okay, so enough about CAPEX. Let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more tips, and then we can end with a couple of questions. But how are we doing as I transition over to the screen? Is this all sounding good to you all? Feeling energetic, feeling energized? All right. So the next myth that we have is it's most effective to work on scholarships independently. So thumbs up if we agree, thumbs down if we disagree. And I'm actually curious how many of us are guilty. We may agree, but how many of us are guilty of applying for scholarships independently and just taking this journey by ourselves? Yeah. I will definitely say when I was applying, it was definitely a more independent approach. But what I've learned just talking to my students over time is that the truth is you will actually achieve more success by getting more help. So the idea is collaborating with your cohort, your peers, your mentors, and even just your family. And when we say just in terms of talking a little bit more about assistance, right? We want to know a little bit more about what scholarships are available. Sometimes we may not know, right? Maybe we come across a scholarship that is perfect for, maybe not perfect for me, but maybe really great for my friend, right? And so if you recommend, a scholarship to my friend, scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, right? You guys are friends for a reason and you all want to go to college. So work together. Because you guys, excuse me, but we're all broke and we're all looking for money and we all want to go to college, right? And so definitely use this as a collaborative effort. As I mentioned, scholarships, it is a word of mouth kind of process. Technology is great, but sometimes we miss out on opportunities, especially those that are a good fit for us. So I definitely want you all to use today's conversation and transform your thinking, okay? And with that being said, I wanted to kind of go out there and ask you all, use this time, this opportunity. I know that you guys got started already. Tell us what national or local scholarships you've heard about. If you can right now, list 2 or 3 scholarships and add the location in the chat, because the more information we can all share together, the better. Right? And I will also say, even when thinking about the essays, peer review, that is valuable. Sometimes our friends maybe not the best or the strongest writers, so don't choose those friends. But definitely talk to your advisor, talk to someone just to get another eye on your essays, or even just thinking about just scholarships and what tools are they using. All right, and so I wanted to just kind of throw out a couple of College Greenlight's favorite scholarships. This is a really great list that we go to. These are some of those big dollar scholarships that we recommend. But definitely, I'm gonna follow up with you all and provide you with these slides, and I'll kind of break down some more really great opportunities that you guys can explore as well. I just don't have enough time. And so then just talking about our third myth, it's applying for scholarships is an overwhelming process and it's too much work. So thumbs up if we agree, thumbs down if we disagree. How are we feeling? So I'm going to transition over. I usually, oh, I got a couple of thumbs up, thumbs down. It's kind of iffy. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here, right? It is scholarships is not a magic wand and then you apply for scholarships. You know, you have certain situations where students have applied to 20 or 30 scholarships and they've only gotten two, or they've gotten zero, right? And so I want us to walk away from a magic number, because a magic number is not going to make the quality of our work better. So when I mean quality of work, I really think about like working smarter and not harder. So essentially, when it comes to our scholarships, the essays are a critical component, right? We can't control our GPAs. We cannot control our test scores. But what we can do and what we have agency over is our story. Now, the thing about stories and scholarship providers and essays is that when you're thinking about a scholarship, it is a little bit different than applying for a college, because as a scholarship provider, I wanted you all to note that they have a mission statement, they have a purpose, they are looking at a purpose of what, the reason why they're investing in students like yourselves or those candidates, right? And so what you have to do is align yourself with the scholarship provider in your essay and see, is this an essay or is this a scholarship that matters to me, or am I aligned, or can I align myself to that scholarship? Now, don't bend and fold and transform yourself to win a scholarship, but I'm saying in terms of identifying ways to work smarter and not harder, is really look at other essays that previous scholarship winners have earned. Really take a look at how they have told their stories. You can usually find these sample essays on the webpage, but I definitely want you all to understand that sometimes using concrete examples, aligning yourselves to the mission of the scholarship and what they believe in will be helpful to tell them, I am that candidate, I am that, scholarship scholar that you're looking for, right? And talk a little bit more about your story. I definitely will say, in a college essay, they're asking you to be a little bit more creative and abstract. But when it comes to our scholarship essays, it is better to be a little bit more in line, a little bit more concise. When they ask you a direct question, try and to ground yourself in that question that they're asking, and use some concrete examples to support that response to that question. And I also wanted to let you know, I will be following up with you all. We have a amazing scholarship essay supporters that offer free essay writing review. And definitely there are really great free tools out there who are looking at your essays and provide a little bit more assistance. But the most important thing is definitely talk to your advisor. If your advisor is accessible, if your advisor is not accessible, knock on their door a little bit harder and make yourself be known. But if that does not work, definitely rely on your community, rely on your friends, rely on your community advocates, adults who can actually just read over your essay and provide you with a little bit more guidance. And then also just thinking about, you know, scholarships is definitely a numbers game. On College Greenlight, or excuse me, on CapEx, I forgot to show you, there is a point where you all can actually take a look at the effort and the competition of the scholarship. So what you want to do is definitely apply for, you know, a diverse amount of scholarships. So you want to apply for local scholarships. Why? Because it's low competitive. And then I also know that we have some of our scholars who just don't want to do any of the hard work, but those scholarships that have a little bit more effort, that require the essay, those are going to be a little bit more competitive, and it's going to increase your chances of winning because there are a lot of students who are not applying for those scholarships because they just don't want to put that effort in, but you guys want to put that effort in. So definitely when you're looking at different opportunities, look at effort. You want low effort, high effort, low competition. In addition to that, you want to take a look at your process and your plan. I provide a couple 4 tips and tricks to just kind of make sure that you're organizing yourself in this process and grounding yourself. You can spiral out. There's a lot of work that you have to do in terms of extracurricular activities. Well, I don't know what that looks like in times of COVID, but definitely, you know, there's a lot of homework and hours that are assigned to you, even in, you know, virtual learning. So definitely prepare and plan. Definitely make sure that you guys are looking at scholarships that you're eligible for. Identify those deadlines. Organize those scholarships into an Excel spreadsheet so that you don't forget. Set reminders. We're always on our phone. So it's no harm of setting an alarm, right? Just to kind of make sure maybe 2 weeks before the deadline, set a reminder and say, okay, don't forget this deadline. Reuse, reduce, review, recycle. I will say, definitely you want to make sure that your scholarship essay is aligned with the mission. But you'll start to, the more scholarships that you apply for, you'll start to understand like, okay, there's a rhythm, right? There's a flow. There's something that you can actually just recycle. So definitely I say apply often, apply frequently, apply to more. Just applying to 6 scholarships that don't require an essay, it's not going to get you there. And on top of that, when you get to that first year of college, I want you all to be still applying for those opportunities because there is still money out there. So do the work now. You may not get the, you know, desired amount that you want, but you are picking up, you know, skills to help you refine your essay writing, and then you get to your freshman year and you can still pursue those opportunities. And then down the line, you may apply for fellowship opportunities to get your master's or your doctorate. And then last but not least, just apply and follow up. Do not be scared of scholarship providers. They are human, just like you. If you have any questions, definitely use their email address, ask them. If you wanted to make sure and confirm that they received all of your application materials, you can definitely send a friendly reminder email on how on whether or not all of those materials have been submitted properly. So definitely use those tips, and I hope you all will see some success in terms of your turnaround and your efficiency. Now, I'm going to close because I'm very long-winded. I apologize. I want to be mindful. We are at the top of the hour, but I'll stay a little bit longer to answer some of your questions. But essentially, I have some more advice, and I'll kind of go through these quickly. Definitely double check your eligibility requirements. That is often the biggest mistake that students have. They just don't see it. Watch the deadlines. 2-week reminder on your phone, like in the middle of the night. It will wake you up. You reminder, well, maybe not in the middle of the night, but definitely set it so you don't forget it. Use concrete examples in your essays. As I mentioned, make sure it's mission aligned. Make sure that you're answering the question. Apply for renewable scholarships. Those are like gold. You want that. And then you want to definitely make it into a group project, or group effort. We don't have to suffer alone and applying for scholarships. This suffering can be shared, right, amongst your friends who are looking for money just like you, right? And so definitely lean on your community, and they will help guide you in that process. Watch out for scholarship scams. If you see a scholarship that is like no essay, just click this button, that is not a scholarship. That is someone trying to give you trying to sell your information to another platform. Don't do that. Unless it's CapEx or College Greenlight. We're actually pretty good people. And then last but not least, I want you all to, again, just ground yourself. When you are going through a hard time and you're just really just can't continue to finish the good fight of the scholarship search and application process, don't fall off the face of the earth. Talk to your community, ground yourself, tell them how you feel, ask for help, and they are going to be there to help you, okay? And we here at College Greenlight and CapEx are here to help you in that effort as well. So as I mentioned, I will definitely follow up with the additional, the recording and the slides for you all to review, additional scholarship recommendations that you can review. But I'll open up for some questions if you guys are still up and you haven't left yet. Okay, let's see what questions we have. Let me know, how did I do? Are we feeling fired up? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Thumbs up and down. How are we feeling? Okay, so we have a question around, is there a max amount of people that can receive a scholarship? Sometimes scholarship, it's based off the scholarship provider. So you may have a scholarship, especially those local scholarships, it may be one person receives that scholarship. Yeah, but those higher scholarships, you may have they may choose 50 students, right? So it definitely varies. What I will make sure that you ask during these info sessions with scholarship providers, how many people are awarded, because that is critical. And if you can also get the answer of how many applications they receive, you all will understand a little bit more about the competitiveness as well. But that is not going to make or break whether or not you should apply. You should definitely apply if you feel like this is a opportunity that you want to pursue. Will the financial aid package be the same every year? No, not always the case. Sometimes you are going to have colleges that will see, oh, you brought in this amount of additional aid, and those scholarships may only last for a year. And so they may adjust the financial aid package your second year. And it also it's based off of family income. So FAFSA, you have to apply every year. So every year, you're going to have more information. So if you make less, you may qualify for more aid. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it, but you can definitely talk to the financial aid advisor on that. If your family makes more money, right? Your aid may reduce. So what I like to say and my financial aid officers um, uh, uh, may call me after this, but definitely strike up a conversation with them, build that relationship, cultivate that relationship. Don't be a pain. There are people too, and they have children and they have responsibilities, but definitely there are extenuating circumstances when you find yourself in college and you're like, I just can't afford this. As I mentioned, do not fall off the face of the earth. You have to talk. You have to be loud. You have to communicate some of your needs and just kind of tell people where you are and what help they can provide. Sometimes not everybody can provide you with the help, but more or less they want to help. And so they'll guide you in a direction that will be more favorable for you. Is there a maximum number of scholarships a college will take? No. Colleges will take as many scholarships as you want. So, no. What is the difference between the CSS profile and FAFSA? Do I need to complete a CSS profile? Not familiar with the College Board. So, CSS profile, FAFSA, two different things, both related to financial aid and qualifying for financial aid. FAFSA, all schools require FAFSA. You must complete. It is available October 1st. You got that information, complete it as soon as possible. CSS profile, you also need to apply for it or fill it out every year. But I just want you to know, not every college requires it. But it's an extra application to really find out like subtle nuances, like differences that FAFSA did not pick up. So the CSS profile is actually pretty great in most cases because it's actually going to ask a couple more contextual questions to really help you actually find a little bit more opportunities to receive aid. So definitely, if you have any questions related to CSS profile, if you have any questions related to FAFSA, talk to your advisor. Also, go to their website. I believe it's Federal Student Aid. If anyone want to put the website in the chat room, that would be great. But it's studentaid.gov, and so they have some really great YouTube videos that will actually give you clear instructions on the differences, how do you apply, and the steps that you need to complete it. How does financial aid work if you want to go to a college out of state? Good question. You have in-state and you have out-of-state colleges. And it's more or less the difference is its cost, right? So in-state, you will actually be provided a federal grant for your state. The school will say, like, if I go to a school in Illinois, state school in Illinois, I will receive that federal state grant. If I was to go to a private school, let's say in-state or out-of-state, it's not going to make a difference because it's the same. But in terms of state schools, it is going to fluctuate when you go in and out of state. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit more expensive to go to a public institution out of state. But if you go to a private institution, it is the same price. And sometimes it may be a little bit less of cost because private institutions may have a little bit more funding, but that's not always the case. So what I always advise you to do is, and I'll follow up with you all in the slides, take a look at the net price calculator. That net price calculator is going to be helpful for you all to figure out what would be more of a closer estimate of how much money will be coming out of your pocket and how you will be funded. How does financial aid work if you want to go to a college? Okay. When applying for scholarships, how recent should a letter of recommendation be? Emma, that's a really good question. I want to ask you more contextual questions about that. I would say sometimes, especially in the times of COVID, getting a letter of a recommendation may be a little bit more challenging. But I always recommend, if you can get a letter of a recommendation that is more recent or that's written more recent, that would be great. Now, let's say you have your recommender who has written a letter of rec maybe like years ago. You can still ask that recommender to write another recommendation, right? And so it's just an updated, revised recommendation. So you can ask the same person if they even did something like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. That's completely fine. I will always revise the letter of recommendation only because, like, it may be out of date, and contextually we're all changing and maturing and getting older and being better and greater, and so you want that teacher recommendation to reflect those changes and that evolution in your journey. And so you don't want to miss out on some of that opportunity of growth to be shared in the teacher recommendation letter. I hope that's helpful in context. Oh, that was good. Oh, all right. I think that's all the questions for me. All right. I hope you all liked it. I like positive reinforcement so I can sleep well at night. Okay, I see all the thumbs up. So that's all that I need you guys to do for tonight. But I hope you all found today's conversation very helpful. Thank you for staying with me over 10 minutes. But I really enjoyed talking with you all. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night. I wish you all much success in your scholarship search and application process. You guys are going to be like scholarship experts. This is just the beginning. I mentioned earlier, it doesn't stop here. It just starts here. And your journey is going to continue. It's going to get better and it's going to get easier over time. But definitely, this is not a journey to be alone by yourself. Definitely rely on your community. Reach out to CapEx, reach out to Greenlight. Go to capex.com/greenlight-students to create your account. If you don't, to see our updated scholarship tools. And thank you. We hope to see you all tomorrow. If you liked today, you will love tomorrow. And then you also are qualifying for our $50 gift card Amazon raffle. So share with a friend. And thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you all enjoy your night, and may the force be with you, and take care.